If you can go back to the first time we met, what advice would you give yourself regarding being in a relationship with me? It's a great question right there.
When was the moment you realized I love you?
Few moments. Definitely the first time you decided not to have a big smile plastered on your face. When you decided to look me in my eye and not kind of hide behind that smile. I think I really knew because you were comfortable enough to, I guess, allow me to see that part of you. Because I did bring it up a few times before. And you were like, nah, if I do that, actually, I'm going to fall in love with you. And you did. We did. So that's when I really knew. What do I do that turns you on that I'm not aware of?
What do you do that turns me on that you're not aware of? Well, I think you know that your emotional intelligence or like when you're vulnerable turns me on. So I guess it's not that.
It's very interesting because even when you were telling me in that moment where I was upset with you on the phone.
Yeah, that was.
And you being like, oh, low key, like, were you blacking on me like that? Like, what?
Yeah, I think that would be it. Low key, like your spikes in emotional reactivity are probably the moments I feel most turned on. I don't know, because I feel like you're a very controlled kind of person. You don't live in extremes. Maybe you're Libra balanced personality. But I think those moments are definitely moments that I feel very, very attracted to you, where you've let loose in some way. Either you're not a very angry person, so like when it happens, she's like, whoa, that's nice. And it's like, what else do you do that turns me on that I'm not aware of? I don't know if you know, do you know that when you look at me, it turns me on? Because I can tell how much you like me. I feel like I don't often show my turned onness. But yeah, the way you look at me for sure, when you make me feel very, like I'm the only person that you see, that turns me on.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
How do you describe our relationship to others? Kind of answered that.
I feel that I often describe our relationship as really amazing yet challenging. Mm-hmm. And I think this goes back to even my like our banter about the nuances of challenge versus hard. Mm-hmm. And it really makes so much of a difference. Because I feel like, yeah, it's hard is just, it's so hard, I don't want to do this. But then challenge is like, all right, like I'm looking up at Mount Everest, like, all right, I'm about to do that. We about to do it. It's gonna be challenging, where we're not gonna dread it. We're gonna. It's like in every moment, it's a reminder. Like, all right, I know what I'm doing this for. I'm going that way, and it's a challenge for me to say, really talk about how amazing it is, but also to exclude the very real challenges of it all. Especially at the very beginning of our relationship, we going through our horoscopes, and it's saying that, look, if your communication isn't stellar, exceptional, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. And
it's just, I feel like it's very evident of how amazing things are most of the time, and it'll be just a crash. We're just talking about every April. What's up with April? And what was the question again?
How do we?
I describe it as challenging yet amazing most of the time.
Yeah.
When was the last time you considered ending our relationship, and why didn't you?
When was the last time I considered ending our relationship, and why don't you? Okay, well, the last time I think I considered ending our relationship was amidst meeting, I think it was before the before we actually sat down and had to have a conversation around it. But I was just feeling like wanting to be single, because I was just like, these relationships, all these conversations, like this is a high level of communication that truly I'm trying to avoid. And so I think, so that would have been about a month ago, let's say. If I were alone, because we are operating in the space of like coming out of codependency and being very independent, but you still have the security of having each other. And I've never been single aside from like prior to my dating life. So I know that's a different energy that people bring to their space. And so I was wondering, am I comfortable being with somebody being partnered, either through you or through a series of partners until I'm dead? Like that's a lot to think about. So I was thinking, oh, do I want to do that? But I was like, I don't think our relationship gets in the way of me being my own person. And I think that's changed a lot recently, where I've been able to really embody that thought and like feel like forget that I'm in relationships with people and be like, oh yeah, let me check my phone and text so-and-so. Or like, oh yeah, let me reach out and versus always just feeling compelled to be in contact with somebody. So that's why I think that I didn't was just negotiating my investment in you too. Because there's been definitely times where I felt over-invested or like when things were stressful. But yeah, that's what I would say. When was the time I disappointed you most and how do you feel about it now?
It would have to be a month ago. When you told me the first time you had sex outside of our relationship. I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of experiences that we've had, but I feel like, especially when it had to do with integrity. So we're at that point in time, we were like talking about rules in our relationship. That being the one and only rule, I was like, that threw me for a loop. Where I was like, karma, yes, but also what the fuck? How it's showing up right now through you? I was like, especially being a moment where I was like going into that conversation, really having talked to myself so powerfully, where just like really getting comfortable with like sex outside of our relationship and who he was to you. Like in a moment where I was like, I can feel very happy for you because what this means. And then being like, it's like giving someone a hug and you go see low-key slipping a knife inside me, like, but I'm gonna do some fuck shit though. And I think it wasn't as intentional as that. It felt like it for sure. And just said very casually as if it was just like, yeah, that happened. And like, yeah. And I was just sitting there in the moment, and I'm sure it was a lot of energy you just directed towards yourself in regards to even just getting it out your mouth. Because I'm sure it was just a weird time, being like, yeah, I did that for the first time. And just like how you feeling about your desire and not associating it with someone else's pain. I feel like it was just a moment of just being like, oh, wow, okay. I was really hype about this, and now I'm like, I feel slighted. And I'm also don't want to react in a way that could be destructive in the space that we just created for this. So that was quite a moment.
And how do you feel about it now?
I feel okay about it now. I feel like it's something that, I feel like it was a moment of understanding and learning that, well, firstly, dissociating from the idea that the things that other people do says something about me. And understanding that people do things because of who they are, how they feel about themselves, which is where they are on their journey, and that people make decisions that aren't necessarily constructive all the time, my ass included. So it was a moment of allowing myself to feel in that moment, understand what it was, but also give meaning to it in a way that was empowering. And so I feel accepting of it, okay about it. If I could talk about it, especially having told about it, telling my friends. I think that's a lot for me, and not being attached to how people are gonna react. So I feel like that just shows how okay I am with that now. What's the next step in our relationship?
Well, clearly talking about figuring out finances for yourself, and figuring out what we're gonna do in terms of housing, habitation, rules. I think, yeah, for sure what's next is getting our own space, be it together or separate, but definitely together. Figuring out, what we do want for ourselves individually. Because, I'm a person who wants to live communally, live on a commune type of thing. I would love to have my own space, but those are where my politics lie. And so negotiating where we make our interventions and coming up with our mastermind times to actually talk about building, because we've been doing a lot of foundation laying, but like goal setting together.
Right. I feel like, Chassie, what I've told you, that would change everything.
It would.
All right.
If this were our last conversation together, what's something you'd never want me to forget?
How much I love you, but also how much love you have in your life. And you still have not even welcomed a fraction of that into your life. And you're already seeing how much fucking love you got in your life right now. I would never want you to forget that, ever. No matter how many future relationships you gain or you lose, especially with the nature of who you are, and always having questioned if people care, like you. I'm sure a lot of people don't like you, but they love the hell out of you. And that conquers any other negative type of thought that they could have. Because you really come so much out of love, out of desire to understand people, desire to heal, to empower, to inspire. And I feel like I will always want you to remember, even seeing yourself on this day and how you look right now and how vibrant and amazing you look. Like, that's love. You're very much about love, but the whole plain small thing doesn't even really allow you to perceive a fraction of that, yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in the questions we are asking, visit our shop at theskindeep.com/shop.